Hey guys, how we doing? I want to show you something. This is one of my favourite places in the world. I absolutely love Lorne. So just driving home from Lorne, did a gig last night in Lorne at the Mantra, which was really fun. And it's been a really busy week. It's been a great week actually. Tuesday night I did a gig at Hamer Hall for like a combined schools thing, which was really fun. And the students did really well. It was really cool. And then that was Tuesday. Then Wednesday we did a gig at a corporate at Metropolis Events in South Bank there. And last night we did a corporate here in Lorne. And yeah, now just driving home. Going to do another gig in the city when I get into the city. So Lorne is where I filmed quite a few sections of Rudiments Around the Kit. Actually both editions. The one that we did at the start of 2008. We did some filming at a place called Artillery Rocks, which is, maybe 15-20 minutes past Lorne. And when we refilmed it, we did Teddy's Lookout and some other stuff. That's all on where we're driving right now, which is the Great Ocean Road. So the ocean's there and the mountains are there. All right, now in today's video, I want to talk about two things that are super important for any musician to become really proficient on their instrument. And I'm not talking about practice. Obviously, the most important thing is your playing, and in order to get good at playing, you just have to practice. There's no way around that. It doesn't matter if you're talented, it doesn't matter if your parents are musicians and you're surrounded by music, you still have to put in the work, and there's no way around that. Beyond that, and the majority of the videos that I do and the majority of the things you'll see on YouTube and whatnot are how to improve your playing. Very important. But beyond that, it's really important that you do two other things if you really want to become a serious muso and get good at your instrument and get gigs. The first thing is you've got to listen to a lot of music. Now, that is something that has to be done in real time. You can't speed up the process. You just have to sit there and listen to a lot of music and really be paying attention to the music. Don't just hear it. Don't just have it on in the background and kind of hum along as you're doing something else. Actually sit there and listen to music uninterrupted. Don't talk to anyone. If you need to, put your headphones on or your in-ears in or whatever. Really listen intently to music and try to hear all the different things that are going on, what all the different instruments in the band or the ensemble are playing, and start thinking, why are they playing the way they're playing? You'll have to excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold. So that's really important, okay? Because you're going to hear all the things that you're playing. You're going to start hearing them in context of actual music, which is probably why you're playing them at all anyway, right? So really important. It's not enough to have just a skin deep understanding of a particular style. So if, let's say you want to play funk, you want to get into some funky music, well, it's not enough just to buy the David Garibaldi books, which are awesome books by the way, and learn a whole bunch of patterns, a whole bunch of paradiddle variations and a whole bunch of linear this, that and the other. That's not enough. You actually have to sit there and buy, you notice I said buy the Tower of Power albums. You got to listen to the music. You got to buy the James Brown stuff, Earth, Wind and Fire, P-Funk, Graham Central Station, on and on and on. You get into some Steely Dan, they're a great band for grooves. Toto are a great band for grooves, although they're not a funk band. So that's really important. The same thing, let's take jazz. You want to get into jazz, it's not enough just to buy the John Riley books and learn how to play all the independent stuff. How to play, we're going to even play the hi-hat independently. We're not playing the hi-hat on 2 and 4 anymore. That's pretty sophisticated. Yeah, it is. But you've actually got to listen to the recordings. If you want to play with that kind of free jazz, freer jazz style, you have to listen to Elvin Jones. You've got to listen to modern jazz drummers. You've got to get into all that sort of stuff. And jazz has got such a long lineage and such a long history, starting all the way back, Baby Dodds, going through like Gene Krupa, Buddy Rich. You've got all the bebop drummers. You've got all the modern jazz guys. Like it's quite a long history there. So there's a lot of listening that you need to do there. So you see what I'm saying? That's really important to get that musical context of what it is that you're actually practicing. That's what I'm trying to get across. And so that's one thing that's really important. And anyone who's really good on their instrument and gets booked for gigs, they will have done a lot of listening. Okay, you go to a professional musician's house and there'll probably be a whole wall of CDs. And I know a lot of people don't use CDs anymore, but there you go. All right, so that's one thing. You got to listen to a lot of music, and I would say that that is, you can always tell someone that's listened to a lot of music compared to someone that hasn't, just by the way they play. You can be a really good player. You're going to spend a lot of time in your studio and in your woodshedding, doing all that. But if you don't understand how it all fits into actual music, you're missing the whole point, right? So really important. If you're going to bother practicing a style, listen to a style. That's the first thing. And the second thing I want to talk about is getting band experience, playing live, playing with other humans. And it's not always easy for everyone to do that. I get that, because maybe where you live, maybe there aren't a lot of good musicians. But you need to try and set things up. Find out, where you can go to jam sessions and play with people, hook up with other musos, start a band. Even if you're not going to get any paid gigs, just get together and jam and work on some grooves. Really try and lock in with the bass player. All that sort of stuff that we're always talking about. So that's really, really important. And I would encourage, if you're a teenager and you're a student, I would encourage you to get involved in anything that the school has to offer as far as ensembles. And as a drummer, I often hear drummers, the last thing they want to do is play in a concert band or an orchestra, because they don't want to play percussion. I'm telling you, do it all. Learn a little bit of mallet percussion, learn a bit of xylophone, learn a bit of 4-mallet vibraphone, learn how to do that, read real music, learn what a key signature is, learn how to read notes. Because, if you start doing this seriously one day, you don't, as I've heard people like Thomas Lang say, you don't want that semi-knowledge. And it's not to say you've got to be great at everything. I certainly don't consider myself a great mallet player at all. Not compared to real mallet players like a Gary Burton or Nebojsa Cipkovic or Lee Stevens or anyone like that. But I play a bit of mallets, and I'm fortunate that I do get to play and teach it kind of all day, every day. And, if a gig comes along and it's for a drum chair, and let's say that in one of the tunes, the MD, musical director, says, we just need you to play a little bit of Glock in this part, and there's going to be a little bit of congas in this tune, and we'll need you to switch over and play a little bit of this, that and the other. If you're the guy that can do all of that as well as drum kit, you're going to get the gig over the guy that's as good as you at drum kit but can't do anything else. Right? You want to be the person that can get it done. So always be trying to expand your skill set. All right? That sort of leads into the final thing I'm going to say. Always try and get better at something. Yeah, whether or not you're improving at a style on drums, or as I said, you're trying to get into maybe some tuned percussion or even hand drumming. That's something I need to get a lot better at. Like everyone's right into all the Indian tabla drumming, with all the stuff that Pete Lockett's been bringing into the marketplace with amazing resources he's done. I need to check out so many things, and I get it, it can be pretty overwhelming, because percussion, you got to remember, it's an entire family of instruments, and if you sit down and you itemize every single one, and you get into all the different world percussion as well, so you're not just talking orchestral percussion, you're talking Asian taiko drums, Indian tabla drums, African djembes, Cuban congas, all the Brazilian stuff, Arabic goblet drums. It goes on and on and on, and it's not just drums, it's all the little effects, all the smalls, all the auxiliary percussion. It's super, super extensive. It's well over 100 instruments. So I'm not saying you have to try and be amazing at everything, but it's really good if you can get a bit of a handle on quite a few different things. All right. So always be trying to expand your skill set, guys. It's really important. Number one, you've got to be a good player. You've got to have a consistent practice routine. I don't really believe in talent a whole lot. I've got to say, the older I get and the more I teach and the more I try and figure things out myself, I really don't get into the whole talent thing. People will say, oh gee, Johnny's so talented, isn't he, or whatever, on your Johnny. But no, Johnny's the kid that's practiced, or he's been surrounded by music since he was really young, so he has like a good understanding of how good music sounds. But even Johnny has had to practice, right? Johnny's not born, he doesn't come out of the womb with a double stroke roll at 120 beats per minute, 30-second notes. It doesn't happen. He's had to put in the work, right? Maybe he was born into musicians who understood that and they instilled a good practice routine in him from a young age, so he was good from a young age, or whatever. Or maybe he played at church every weekend and they rehearsed every week, and the musical director was like, no, that's not right, you're speeding up, you're slowing down, and he worked at it. And that's the point, he got better at it. That's the first thing, you've got to be a good player. Number two, you've got to listen to music. It's going to give you an actual real world application of what you're doing stylistically. You're gonna hear how the things you're practicing are supposed to sound with a band, which is the ultimate goal. It's pretty rare that you're going to get a gig just playing drums on your own. I don't know if I've ever been hired to do that. Maybe once or twice at like a drum expo here and there, but normally you're playing in a band. And even when you play at those festivals and stuff, are you an actual instrumentalist that can sustain a crowd with just a drum solo? Like, are you like a Virgil Donati type level player? The majority of people aren't. Even at drum expos and whatnot, most people are playing to pre-recorded music. So that's the second thing, listen to music. And the third thing is get into as many different musical environments as you can with playing in bands and ensembles. All right, guys, that's enough for today. We're going to continue driving around the GOR, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.